Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the personality of the best hair. And it's been a long damn time since I touched a movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and there's one that I have always been meaning to get around to. JCVD. A film from 2008, JCVD stars Jean-Claude Van Damme as Jean-Claude Van Damme, the role he was born to play. While being set in the real world for the most part, and having some aspects based on real events, of course the meat of this film is best described as semi-autobiographical fiction. Though I doubt it surprises anyone that the action movie star best known for roundhouse-kicking bad guys into submission, who ends up in a real-life situation that can only be solved by roundhouse-kicking the bad guys into submission, might be slightly less than factual. Much like that description is, the film itself shies away from action for the most part, and I don't know if it's the foreign part, or the fact that it was originally filmed in French, or that I'm too used to explosions and high body counts, but the movie comes off more as an art house piece than fireworks display. And it's really hard to go into the honest synopsis without spoiling the whole damn movie, so let's take a look at JCVD and spoil it the good old-fashioned way. Well, the film opens by making me look like a complete fucking liar, as Van Damme is seen tearing through a war zone, killing the fuck out of people left and right. Some with gunshots, some with a few punches and kicks, and others with some handy-dandy hand grenades. When he finally escapes this hell...
I'm sick and tired of having
It was all just a movie! And not a particularly high-end one if Van Damme's complaints are anything to go by.
The window didn't explode, right? And it's very difficult for me to do everything in one shot. You know, I'm 47 years old.
Allegedly, though, the one-shot complaint was ad-libbed by Jean-Claude Van Damme, because the man was honestly 47 years old, and that was one big continuous shot for the entire intro sequence, and they had to redo it like 5 or 6 times. The fact that he and the director don't speak the same language, though, coupled with the translator not expressing Van Damme's complaints accurately, makes this situation more than a little frustrating for the man. Not quite as bad, though, as the custody battle he finds himself in, and the fuck-nugget of a lawyer his ex-wife has hired to defame him in court.
And whose entire career experience is with films whose values no responsible, aware parent would ever want to expose their children to.
Aw, come on, I've been exposed to worse and I turned out fine. Also, hasn't study after study after study explored the ultra-violence is turning the children into corrupted little murderers angle from every possible side and found that it is, at best, complete horseshit? As if it has any bearing on anything, the lawyer then gives the top 10 Van Damme kills list right there in the courtroom.
Fracturing the skull. Taking out the tibula.
Objection, Your Honor, there's no such bone as the tibula. It is a bastardization of the terms tibia and fibula, which are the bones of the lower leg, which begs the question, how the fuck does that kill someone? But there's no reason to see how this is going to end just yet. There are Arabs hijacking an airplane! In a movie playing in a video store with an Arab employee who takes the opportunity to complain about movie stereotypes.
All action films need bad guys.
Exactly. In the 70s it was the Viets, now it's the Arab. Stallone in Rambo 3.
Your first example, and you got it amazingly wrong. Yeah, there were Arab people in Rambo 3. They were Afghans. It was Afghanis. It was set in Afghanistan. It took place in Afghanistan. There was a war going on in Afghanistan in the movie, but they weren't the enemy. They were the good guys. The bad guys were the common bad guys of the 80s. The Russians. Man, could they at least bring hair metal back too? This rant eventually goes into some strange places.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
He never hits
No,
us.
stupid! Van Damme, he's outside! Hey, Monsieur Van Damme! Wait, Monsieur Van Damme!
I'd still keep my distance if I were you. As a film critic, I believe that if I did run into Jean-Claude Van Damme on the street, I'd probably wind up with even less teeth. Even though the man is heading for the post office and in quite a hurry, Van Damme still poses for a quick photo op because he's just that awesome. However, when he goes off to the post office on his own, the viewer stays behind with the video store employees, as they argue for a while with the taxi driver who brought the star in the first place.
He left his shithole for Hollywood. He fought to be where he is now. You never even left town.
Whether you're a star or a dog, I don't care.
Not true enough, she seems to treat everyone she meets equally rude. Eventually, this argument gets a little heated on the topic of if Van Damme really is a great guy and big star or not, until the police arrive to settle it.
The guy's a star. He left his shithole to go to Hollywood, huh? He fought to get to where he is now. You've never even left town.
Not true, but she seems awfully popular here. So many people already know the details of her life and travel experiences. So she loses this argument and returns to her cab.
I always get all the crap. Thanks a lot.
Anytime.
You owe me big time.
shit, what was that?
And others might actually consider leaving town. Fortunately, there just so happens to be a police officer right here who closes in on the post office to see exactly what the hell is going on. The big star with the heart of gold is inside the building the shots came from, obviously injured, and telling you to get back. Clearly, he has gone mad and is robbing the place. At the very least, this angle is merely a hypothesis. That is, until the officer tries to peek inside the front shutter. Oh my god, a gun firing from the shadows! Which means you didn't see the shooter and thus have absolutely no fucking idea who it was. Really incriminating. Fortunately, the officer was only shot in the leg, and it's not so bad. He can leap over the goddamn car and call for backup just the same. This introduces Commissioner Bruges, played by Francois Gamiens. There's about a 4% chance I pronounced that right, but either way, he contacts Van Damme over the phone to get a grasp on the situation.
Jean-Claude?
No. A man is unconscious and bleeding.
Good.
Oh, hold up, officer. There's no reason to get that excited. The body count hasn't even started yet. Rather, it's good for Van Damme to let them know so they can talk about letting the injured man free. However...
No one leaves. It's impossible.
We cannot send the man to the hospital. We cannot afford it. The movie is far too low budget.
Hello, what if I came in with a doctor?
Fine, but unarmed.
I give you my word, no guns.
How long until a bunch of assholes show up with guns?
Get me a doctor, please.
Lieutenant Berthier, SWAT team.
Sacre bleu. The lieutenant, played by Norbert Rutili, is disappointed that Bruges didn't want them to go in guns blazing just yet, because shooting a world-famous movie star might look bad for them. Not that the next stipulation from Van Damme makes him look any more respectable. Emergency responders prank turned sexual. Of course, news of a postal office held hostage spread pretty quickly, especially when somehow the fact that it's suspected that Jean-Claude Van Damme is perpetrating it also leaked to the public, but no word as to how. Never mind that, though, the naked medics make it into the building, and we finally get a glimpse as to what the fuck is going on.
Okay, let's go. The back room.
Careful, Van Damme! I don't need another community guideline strike so soon. As they head into the back, it seems there are quite a few hostages in there with Van Damme, as well as 2 accomplices. However, one begins to look a bit agitated as the unconscious man begins to get better. But then...
No, Jean-Claude, no!
If we can't have color in this movie, at least we can have some kick-ass random fight scenes. Thus, Van Damme beats the fuck out of Bruges and the medic, and they end up getting kicked back out of the post office, leaving him and the others to reflect on the choreography.
Well done.
Give me 5. Awesome. How did you do that?
Hey, whoa!
Seriously,
Whoa.
what a pro!
What's this?
Did you see what he did in there?
This is not a movie, what do I care?
Turns out the guy Van Damme was holding up was in on it all along. Also, the big bad balding bad guy, Homé Abonné, played by Zinedine Suelem. Well, the important thing is, he thinks that roundhouse kicks on a silver screen are far more important than the ones going on 5 feet in front of his face. Arthur, however, is much more impressed by the big star giving a live performance during the standoff. He also seems completely starstruck by the fact that he's even there, which is understandable.
Hey, Jean-Claude, he's out cold. What the fuck, huh?
I mean, yeah, it sucks for the police and hostages right now, but you know, tomorrow they're all going to go to the bar and tell everyone about how they got their ass kicked by Jean-Claude Van Damme. It seems the balding, agitated gang member is even more dangerous than previously anticipated, though, as he proposes killing 1 hostage per hour, starting with Van Damme. The other guy, though, proposes that they up their demands instead.
He's a fucking star. It's Van Damme, for Christ's sake. They'd expect us to ask for at least $1 million.
So up to 5 million. Or 10. Or fuck, as long as we're going movie terms, 100 billion euros. But I is more interested in holding on to what leverage the hostages give them against the police, but his accomplice is willing to figure out some kind of compromise. They can free pretty much all of them as long as they hold on to the child.
Do you know anyone who would want to have a dead kid on their conscience?
Yeah?
Well, the point is that the police don't want a dead kid. It doesn't matter if you don't have empathy, you're the bad guy. That's the point. Like clockwork, though, the police request they free the kid first and foremost. As such, they refuse, and instead demand €1 million, passage to the airport, and all that basic bullshit.
This isn't going to work. What? I'm Jean-Claude Van Damme. It doesn't make sense. It's all bullshit. I could say anything. It should be less realistic.
Okay, new list of demands. We need €1,000,000, a private jet, a Nintendo Switch for all of us. Not one of those fucking GameStop bundles where they throw in 1-2 Switch and a fucking overpriced SD card. I don't want any of that bullshit. And the Grand Mac.
$465,000.
Yes?
To be delivered by noon to the firm.
Bernstein, Katz, and Phyllis.
And you sure you don't want to ask him to pick up your mail while you're at it, Van Damme? This ad-lib is frowned upon by the robbers, but the man explains that paying his lawyer's fees in his custody case makes this list of demands more believable overall. Hell, at the very least, it's nice to get a commission for your work. Still, the big bad doesn't care.
Put him with the others. Go!
I'm staying. Now I'm going.
Jesus, it's like being held up at gunpoint by Tevye. So in case it hasn't been completely fucking obvious up to this point, Van Damme is actually not one of the robbers, but a hostage. A hostage with enough star power that they could use him for leverage. They don't need him for now, though, and just leave him back with all the others, so he can listen to the television broadcast of himself giving a pep talk to the world.
The poor things, they just don't know. But I am aware. I am awake.
What's aware?
And when you wake up,
things
you
like that.
wonder,
What's the matter
what are you
with
doing
you?
in this,
Kids these days. Asking questions about things that they don't know about. What is this world coming to? Thus concludes Chapter 1 of this tale, and after 30 minutes of following these events, we suddenly rewind way the fuck back to the custody battle in court, where we see that Van Damme's daughter was even brought up to the stand to go against him.
Every time my dad is on a TV show, my friends make fun of me.
But you love your daddy.
Yes.
But you'd rather stay with your mom.
I don't see how that solves anything, considering your dad's gonna be on TV anyway. I mean, how good is your mother gonna be at dealing with bullies using roundhouse kicks? According to some trivia, Van Damme has a son, not a daughter. But from what I can find, he has 2 sons and a daughter. But around the time this movie was made in the custody battle, his youngest son matches closest to the story of Gloria here. But hey, poetic license. The difficulties the star has getting decent roles, though, that looks pretty well unchanged.
You get good money, they send me to Bulgaria in the fucking factory. They are making the movie for like what, $1 million?
No, you're exaggerating. Look,
They
you're
take 30%
exaggerating.
sales fee.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, Van Damme, I really liked In Hell. And it's hard to tell considering YouTube's blocked that review worldwide for years, but yay, vid me. Expressing what he would express to Hollywood studios if he got the chance, hint fucking hint, Van Damme explains he's willing to sign up for a decent movie for free, just to show that he's still got what it takes, but his agent dismisses this out of hand. Of course, signing on to movies for free might not be the best choice right now anyway, considering the call he gets from his lawyer.
The check you made bounced.
What do you mean?
You know exactly what I mean.
So like boing boing, or did it pack its bags and get the fuck out of there? Understanding that this is really a tough time for him, his lawyer demands $500,000 by noon or he's dropping the case. This brings us right back to the post office in front of the video store, as when you don't have time to spare, it's best to repeat as many scenes as possible. This time though, we find out exactly what happened from Van Damme's perspective.
Can I come in? I have
No. Sorry, we are closed.
Closed?
Yes.
But it's not 6 yet.
I'm afraid it actually is. It's a new energy-saving method we're trying. Super daylight savings time. Come back tomorrow. Don't worry, it's only in about 2 hours. Thing is, Van Damme really needs the transfer, so he's not taking no for an answer here. After realizing he's not going to lose this guy anytime soon, Arthur lets him in. However, that's just the beginning of his troubles.
My name is Jean-Claude Van Varenberg, not my stage name. Van Damme.
I'm sorry, but we're out of cash.
And the post office is a bank. I don't know why. I mean, I've never been to France, and maybe the post offices are banks, but in America, our post offices are post offices, and our banks are ATM machines.
How can that be possible? This is a bank, it's only 11 o'clock, noon.
To be fair, Van Damme, this movie did come out in 2008. And you know, the global economy really wasn't doing so hot then. This whole situation seems so ridiculous to the star, he even notices the movie camera and figures he's on some prank show.
Cut this one, okay? It's a bad take.
Put him with the others.
Are you crazy?
Yeah, 47 years old or not, I still don't buy that you could just slap Van Damme and come out on top in the exchange. With that, Van Damme is dumped with the rest of the hostages, but Arthur is such a big fan, he actually gives a shit that his boss just split a superstar's lip out in the lobby. This distracts him long enough that another hostage tries to go for his gun, and we get a struggle! Which explains where the unconscious man with a head injury came from, and Brings us right the fuck back around to a scene we already saw. Yay! Yes, from a different angle, but quite a lot of what goes on here we already saw, so it's not the best when it comes to keeping the audience interested with suspense or surprises. Oh my, Van Damme was ordered to block the window, but it was the big bad who went out in front to shoot at the police! Okay, good to know. So while this movie goes behind the scenes on itself, I'm personally more interested in Arthur continuing to geek out over Van Damme being a hostage of his.
Hot target. Jean-Woo.
Yep.
What a complete ass.
Oh, don't say that.
This man's holding a superstar and child hostage for lunch money. I really don't think he gives a damn if anyone's offended by his opinions on filmmakers. You only get to be in a room with a gun to Van Damme's head once in your life, though, so Arthur takes this for all it's worth, requesting a few trick shots out of the man, then immediately following up with his own attempt at said trick. To be fair, though, I'd rather see Arthur's rendition on the big screen. It really leaves an impression. After about 10 minutes of this, they finally move the plot along again, as the officer with the loudspeaker specifically calls to Van Damme and requests he free the hostages.
Is this a joke or what?
No, Jean-Claude. They saw you with the cabinet.
Moving a cabinet is robbing a bank?
It is if you're taking it home. So the calls are held, demands are made, and we've already seen this, so let's rewind the movie again to Van Damme's cab ride earlier.
I just want...
Acting like a big shot, please. My hero of the century, I finally get a chance to talk to you and you give me attitude.
Which really adds nothing to the big series of events, but it does show the man being shit on for a while. Fortunately, this time when we teleport back into the bank / post office / movie set, we find that in order to buy some time and keep the police from raiding the place guns blazing, Van Damme convinces the bad guys to give up one hostage. However, instead of the child, they opt to free the mother.
I'll take care of him.
What? You can't even take care of your own child. This is only your fault.
Lady, I think you might be overreacting. The man just walked in on a robbery, and as many times as this movie rewinds itself, we never actually get to see that starting, so it's really hard to say if it's his fault or not. However, what this mother says moves Van Damme, and he takes a moment to remind us that we float down here. We all float. Or at least Van Damme floats well above the movie set to have a short little chat with the audience, spoken mostly in metaphors.
Is a path full of hurdles where the answer comes before the question. Ah, yes.
Because when you have something extremely important to tell the whole world, it's best to do it as confusingly as possible. That way, if they don't understand, they'll still be impressed. Effectively, he goes over his life about how he started from nothing and accomplished some of the greatest things any man can accomplish, but still felt like he had done nothing. He also made plenty of mistakes, and lots of the bad experiences in his life fell back on his own doing. Still, if he can do something, anything, to help the people here today, he should. It's his duty as an aware, loving human being.
I believe it's not a movie. This is real life.
I hate to break it to you, Mr. Van Varenberg, but... With that out of the way, Van Damme requests his #1 fan, Arthur, help him free all the hostages. The attempt fails. All they manage to do is free the child before the others stop the escape attempt. Now, this means it's time for some good old-fashioned conflict.
What are you doing? Put that down. Are you with us or not? You're starting to get on my nerves. Are you with us? Hey!
Which is very, very, very light by Van Damme movie standards. And that's what happens when you do a realistic movie after a career fueled by blood sport. Now that the bullets start flying, it doesn't take long for the very loosely held together group of bad guys to find reasons to finish this little partnership.
You owe me some respect. I could be your papa.
Oh, my father?
Yeah?
Because you're so old?
No. Because I fucked your mother.
Oh, really?
And the body count has started. At 80 fucking minutes. That's gotta be a new record. Now that the leader here has been laid out, it's officially time for the shit to hit the fan and the police begin their raid. This gives them a good enough excuse to shoot Arthur dead, because fuck happy endings. In that vein, the last remaining bad guy is holding Van Damme at gunpoint. The perfect opportunity for the hero to roundhouse kick that motherfucker in the face and get all the cheers from his adoring fans. The problem is that shit only happens in the movies.
It wasn't me.
It just doesn't feel realistic enough. I know, in order to give it that extra real flavor, you gotta have a follow-up scene where Van Damme explodes on the internet in a meme where he just elbows everyone in the solar plexus. Therefore, realistically shitty ending! Van Damme goes to court and offers little defense. Not being able to afford a lawyer will do that to you, but he's given a reasonably light sentence of 1 year in jail and 2 years probation. He's doing alright in jail, though, teaching the convicts he's spending time with how to kickbox, which, for all I know, might be a sequel bait. But hey, after this shit, he finally gets to see his daughter, which looks appropriately frustrating, all things considered. Child custody hearings? Fuck you, you star in violent movies! Actually committing violent crime? Well, we wouldn't want you to miss out on parenting opportunities. Anyway, that was JCVD, and it's an art house picture. Which is fine if that's what you're going for, but it might not be that great for fans of Van Damme's previous work. I mean, both the big-budget flicks and the straight-to-video Bulgarian films. Either way, Van Damme spent a good amount of time fighting and being larger than life. The thing is, an art film set definitively in reality doesn't lend itself well to being larger than life. That's not to say it's bad, mind you, like his performance in Hell. I liked the more poetic tones and the scenes that work to pull at your heartstrings. Van Damme is a good actor on top of being a great action movie star, and he gets to show off that side of him very well during the movie's running time. Of course, that brings up something I do feel was questionable. The events of the movie don't take place over a very long time, but the pacing is all over as we jump back and forward in time at several points and go over the same scenes 2 or 3 times in the process. That does make it harder to feel invested when you're just sitting there waiting for something new other than the new angle to expand on the events of the film. At the end of the day, JCVD is a good film for people who want their movies to have some kind of moral lesson and also have a strange attraction for realism. I personally prefer unbelievable explosions barely within my suspension of disbelief, but I can still see this film has plenty of merit for what it is. The repetitive nature can be a problem, but the overall package still comes in at 4 crushed fibulas out of 5. It's not exactly what I expected going into a Van Damme movie, but I'm not disappointed. Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado. And remember, don't rob the post office. It's not a bank. Or is it?
The muscle from Brussels. Can you read this?